did all the things. Yes.
You're doing the thing, Captain.
Oh my goodness. The music worked. Nothing was looped. We were unmuted at the right time. I have to say, like, I unmuted us at the very last second. So I was like, right, I've tick, 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 tick. Nobody can hear us. Amazing.
Yeah,
Woo.
well, it's a good thing I wasn't like belching like I sometimes do.
It absolutely could happen. In the outtakes, you will hear a belch that is directly in your ear holes from Danae.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're
you
welcome,
are
everybody.
welcome. Hey, chat.
Hello.
Hey, Slap, thanks for the resub. You are so kind.
We love you all so much.
And there's so many people here today. The very first comment, and Eights. Thank you for the resub.
Woo.
2 whole months for both of you. Can you believe that we've been on Twitch for 2 months trying to deliver like consistent content for 2 months already?
Consistent, as in we miss a couple weeks and or sometimes turn up late. But we
have
love
to-
you all for being here
Yeah.
regardless.
When we do when we actually officially release a schedule onto Twitch for you guys to be able to set your alarm to, I wish there was an ish button. Like it was like
Yeah.
ish.
So here's why it can get a little bit tricky, because we kind of do the pre-show and an intro, and then we have to time that with how long the episode is. And this week's episode was longer than the other episodes by about 3 or 4 minutes, I think. So it threw us out of whack. But thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you to all of the viewers on YouTube as well.
Yes,
Knife
YouTube
Fight
and Twitch.
Elmo, and I saw somebody else hanging around on Twitch.
Takesukamaru. I'm so sorry. Tatsuke.
Tatsuka Gamaru. Tatsukama.
Sorry, we're not great at the thing of the thing.
No.
Also, shout out to Josh Zero, which was a first commenter. Hello there, Josh Zero. It's good to see you.
First.
And then Knife Fight Elmo says hi. I win the podcast, and then the answer to what's next.
What's next?
But yeah, we were definitely running late. Sorry about that.
Sorry, guys. We love you. Josh Zero, I'm really, really happy that you watched First Contact and you finally come round to acknowledging that it is the best Star Trek film. It's really big of you. Really, really big of you. And it's really big of me to have that conversation where you can't talk back and I get to edit said conversation to suit my viewpoint.
While we're just picking some of your guys' comments while you've been so kindly waiting for us to start the show today. Here's one from Slab. This is a reference to a post that we have for our Sin Club members over at Patreon, which if you're not part of Sin Club and you would like to check that out, you can go to patreon.com/cinemasins and you can kind of see the extra content. People that are joining the Sin Club, they get all the content for CinemaSins early, and then we do extra stuff. And one of the things that we just started recently is the news position, where every week we give you a little bit of a behind the scenes look at just what's on our mind, what we're thinking of. And this week it was about candy. We made a poll. Everybody in the staff picked their least favorite candy, and there's a poll going on right now. Ian's least favorite candy is taffy, and
Am I wrong?
No one has voted
you
for
like
it.
Taffy?
I love taffy.
You're all insane. It's in your teeth.
I don't love taffy. I like a little bit of taffy. I can only handle so much, and it has to be soft.
Well,
like if
that's
it's
great, because
really hard, I don't like it at all.
The option is always a little bit of taffy because the rest of it is in your teeth and you can't enjoy it.
I like how, and we don't want to give too much away because those are for our Sin Clubbers, but my favorite one that you said was something about like you're still missing your teeth or something. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, exactly. No, I am. Yeah, I'm still missing my teeth from the first time I tried it, which was in November. But
this is interesting. I guess we're talking about some Halloween candy, and no wonder. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Josh Zero says, once as a kid, I had a full muffin dropped into my treat bag.
That sounds like a punishment. Cool. That doesn't sound good at all.
So Justin works for Little Debbie Snack Cakes, and this year he is determined to give out full-sized Little Debbie Snack Cakes to all the children, and we'll be building a display in our driveway for tonight at some point today. So
nice.
We will be the people that are dropping in full-size something into candy bags. However, ours are wrapped in cellophane and sealed rather than it being like a homemade muffin.
I feel like this is a backdoor advertising thing, and they rarely go over well. It's like how U2 years ago automatically downloaded their album into everyone's iTunes library, and everyone's like, we don't want it. Like, I don't care if you're giving it to us for free. We don't want that.
To go back in and jab at Ian a little bit more, Slab says, I just realized on that poll that you can pick more than one sinful candy, which makes it even better that nobody has picked taffy.
That's
You're
just
not
the
wrong.
Worst.
You're not wrong.
Just the worst. However, Zinksto, I don't like it, and my teeth back me up on this. Hashtag Team Ian. Thank you.
Thanks, Zink.
Thank you, Zink. No, don't
Thank
you
you,
thank
Zink.
Zink. You can't thank somebody that is backing me up because you're not backing me up. So yes.
Here's one from Link. You guys should just watch the show live on here. We wish we could,
Oh,
actually.
man, there
but
is
that's
all
not allowed.
kinds of issues with us doing that. I
Yeah.
mean, you could literally watch us watching the show, but we wouldn't be able to show the show that we're watching. So, I mean, if you want to watch
And,
us for 27 minutes, just like glued to the TV and me going, yes, a lot, then okay, let's do it.
Yeah. I think that your internet might have jumped around a little bit. So watching you jump around just now,
Oh,
for me, was a little
that's-
choppy.
Interesting, because your internet looks really choppy as well.
Okay. Our connection may blow a little bit here.
Yeah.
But
okay, apologize to everybody. If
no,
our-
needless to say, if you
Yeah.
watch us watching the show, it would just be us staring at a screen very, very boringly.
Ian Wiggles, Ian Wiggles,
we-
Ian Wiggles, Ian Wiggles.
We have thought about doing something on Discord where it's more like of a watch along for the group. But yeah,
USS Van Sitters.
I wonder if we should have an emote that's an emote. Oh, speaking of emotes, you can still put those in the chat. We haven't added
Yes.
any new ones,
Not yet.
but maybe we need a little Ian wiggle.
A little Ian Wiggle? I don't even know how we would do it. I guess you could maybe animate my Cinema Sins cartoon. We could do
Maybe.
that. We could do that. We're going to save some of these questions for after the show as well. Somebody was really excited. Yay, hooray, I caught you live on Twitch. Yeah, you did. You caught us. Wild Ian and Danae have been caught talking about Star Trek. It has happened.
Yep. So here on the show today on Twitch and on YouTube, you guys, thank you again so much for joining us. We are going to record the podcast live, which means while we get into the actual recording of the podcast for editing purposes, we tried our best to completely ignore chat. We might pop some of your comments up on screen as we're talking, that kind of relate to what we're discussing, but we actually try our best not to stop down and point out the comments, but we do that at the very end. So after we're done officially recording the podcast, we rejoin you guys live and hang out for a little bit before going on with the rest of our day here on Monday. So I think I'm ready to pop. Are you ready to go?
Let's
Okay.
do some things. Let's do some things. Throw all of the questions out, especially finale related questions as well. And let's do the show.
Hey, what's the name of this episode again?
The Stars at Night.
The stars at the
The more you know.
Actually, I loaded that into the background, I thought. Okay, let's see. Did I get that right? Captain Pods live. Spoilers for Star Trek Lower Decks.
Spoilers.
Star Trek The Stars at Night. Okay. There we go.
Spoilers. Cool. Seeing some more questions pop up. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Chuck
We will
us
pin those
questions.
for the end, right?
We will indeed. They are being pinned as we speak. Right, let's do the show. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab a drink from the replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched together. Most important question first, as you already are drinking, what is your beverage of choice?
Okay. Maybe you can remind me of what this was called. But when Mariner was on the ship with the archaeologists, they're talking about smoothies or something, and that's what I want.
What smoothie was it?
I don't remember.
Oh,
I was
no.
taking notes on something else, and after it had already finished, I was like, "Oh my god, that was my drink! It was right there! It was right
Okay.
there!"
Computer. Oh my! Sorry, this is amazing. I have an alarm that's going off.
Yeah, you do.
Just turn that off. Right. Okay.
I thought
Wait.
that was Star Trek music.
No.
Was it?
Maybe subconscious. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was like a ding dong. My train of thought has completely gone now.
I'm gonna go back and watch it. We're gonna stop the podcast. I'm gonna go back and watch that episode.
What I was gonna say was just give the computer that information and see what they come up with.
Oh,
See
like
what they
Google
make.
search it.
Super vague. Like just let the computer do it and just give no other information. and
What
let
was
them do
drink that Mariner drank that was smoothie like archaeologist? Go.
It. Yeah, and the replicator just chucks one out. It was like a
Amazing.
slushy. So they said
like a
rom
slush.
ales, which was a shrunk down version of Romulan ale, which is what I was going to pick. But I don't know. Yeah, I can't remember what the actual slushy.
Well.
Anyway,
I feel
we're each
bad.
having one of
Here we
those.
are at the finale, and I can't even pay attention to the name of the drink. I'll try to find it.
Amazing. Try to find it. But in the meantime, let's synopsisize some stuff. After last week's antics and the kind of failure of the drive-by initiative, what was it? Second swing?
Second swing,
The
first
swing
base,
by? Yeah, the swing. Wait.
the swing
that's
around,
some-
the reach
nope.
around.
Nope, they are all other things. All other things. After the failure of Captain Freeman's new initiative, the Cerritos is called back to a generic starbase for a debriefing and a slap on the wrist as the California class ships are all being shelved in favor of the new Texas class unpersoned starships led by sketchy Admiral. Oh, what's his name?
Poopy McGee. His name is Mr. Poops McGee.
Admiral Poops McGee.
His name is Admiral Picard. No.
No, it's not
His
that.
Admiral Akbar.
No, it's not. No, it's not Admiral Akbar. That's from Star Wars, you
Is
jerk.
it Baromedos? Baromedos?
No, we're going to
Bar-
absolutely butcher it.
God damn it.
Let's look at the cast list.
Oh.
See, this is why you watch live, so that you get to see all of this stuff that gets edited out.
Oh, we're editing this today. Excellent.
Oh, ouch. I always edit it. Right, hang on. Star Trek Lower Decks finale.
Since we're
cast.
cutting this out, can I get some dinks in the chat? That was a good burn.
Ding. It was great. It was great. Oh man. Why can you never Google something when you
It's
immediately need
in
it?
the chat. It's Boy Marigo.
Oh, it's in the chat.
It's just what I said. It's
I'm
what
not even
I said. It's
I'm not even
Baramadigo Dingo.
Buen
Guys,
amigo. Oh my goodness. This is the best. This is why we do it on Twitch, actually, so that people can actually tell us what we need to be saying. Right. Captain.
Yeah, it's a slushy. I just listened to it. It is some kind of a slushy.
Yeah,
but
it's a
I'm
Romulan
gonna go
slushy.
back. Okay, I'm gonna
Nice.
go back and find the actual name. Hold
Okay,
on.
good.
I'm watching the show again in the background. You just go on. I'll be right
We'll
here.
do it. Captain Freeman challenges Captain Buenamigo to a second contact race in order to prove that the California class still has something to contribute to Starfleet. And shenanigans ensue, and everyone loses control of the Texas class starships. Battle commences.
Big time battle.
Will they survive?
No, I mean many people don't.
It's really interesting to do a plot summary without spoilers, even though we've already seen
Why
it.
would you
Oh,
not
I
want
don't-
to? Like
just pacing. Just
okay,
pacing.
okay. In this
So-
episode, shit blows up, people die, bad guy reveals himself, and we save the day. Ships show up, ships explode,
Ship down, ship it out, and ship it out of here.
and the most important thing, we have a warp core ejection.
Yeah, we do. Eject that warp core. Right, okay. Overall thoughts and feelings. What did you think of the episode? Ambassador.
Okay, if you don't like a fast-paced episode that just shoves it all down your throat, then this is not the finale for
Like
you.
a muffin in a Halloween basket.
This is like the quintessential you're on a ship having an adventure episode though.
Yeah.
And I feel like I needed something like this. It made fun of itself. It had a lot of references to like there's this moment in this episode where they're trying to problem solve how to do something and they're running through all these different scenarios including ejecting the warp core. And I just had this feeling that every Star Trek nerd was going to be enjoying it because they're like we can't do that because like I don't know there's like all these different options. It sounded like it's all these options that you've seen many times on many episodes to solve many problems. I think one of them was something about like confusing the AI's algorithm and
That's the standard, isn't it? Get it trapped in a logic puzzle where it has
Yeah.
to flush itself down the toilet.
yeah, and then Rutherford said something about like no, I calculated out like idiosyncrasies or something. I can't remember what he said, but this was a fast-paced
paradoxes.
episode because it did everything we thought it was going to do, and it confirmed many of my theories. So I was enjoying it because I was like, check, got that, check, got that, check, got that. I mean, was it a little bit disappointing because it did a lot of things I expected to do? Maybe. This episode ends with Mariner back on the ship with really no tie into the next season, I predicted
No.
before the episode started that we were going to have Rutherford be the main person, and it kind of
Yeah, you
was.
did.
And
Yeah.
I predicted that the bad guy was going to be revealed, and they were. But what I was wrong about is I thought that would carry over and be sort of a motivational factor for season 4. And instead, they just murder the Admiral. He's just
Yeah.
dead now.
They kind of just wrapped up everything this
I mean,
episode.
quick.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah.
And we didn't get to see Mariner really be in her element with this job either, which was a little disappointing for me too, because it seemed like it was a throwaway reason to return because she was just bored. But overall, I did enjoy it. I think it's a fine way to end a season, but I was a little bit, it was so expected in a way that I was like just a little bit on the disappointed scale.
No, I get that. I think I'm beginning to get oversaturated on, and I never thought I would say this, on phasers and space battles and explosions and the Cerritos getting blown up. Like, there is a genuine pacing thing where if you do it every episode, you get desensitized to it. It's like, yeah, the kid might be asking for all of the candy and all of the things, but as soon as they have all of the things, they don't want it anymore. So we there is something to be said for drip feeding us action scenes and excitement. Having said that, I had tons of fun in this episode. I really, really, really enjoyed it. Yes, it is confusing to me that they resolved so much so quickly.
He did.
But
It was a very quick resolve.
It is interesting. Like, they're fighting this line between being serialized and episodic, and they're leaning more towards episodic, and I think that's the right thing to do for this show. But yeah, man, they wrapped up. They didn't leave much. They have left a huge thing for season 4, and I think it's pretty clear where they're going in season 4. Yes, we'll talk about the post-credits scene eventually. But yeah, overall, I had a really, really good time. Yeah, maybe it was a little bit predictable that Mariner joins the ship, and she does, but it's kind of comfortable as well. I don't know how you'd have to show next season if she's not there. And also, Boimler is once again just not doing much. Like, Boimler is the look at all of the fun stuff nerd of the crew. This was, again, less of a lower decks episode and more of a first officers upper decks episode. Like, this was following the captain and the senior officers and the ship as opposed to the crew members. So if there's one thing I would like to see is a little bit more lower decking, which is I know
A sexual term. Yes,
no,
we
it is
know.
not. No, it is not.
Oh, no.
Which is, I know it's so hard to not do. It's so hard to do that and ignore the big things, but that's what the show's called, and it's where we are. I kind of where I want them to be.
Yeah, this episode was interesting because it was everyone kind of coming together. The premise of this episode is that, the Cerritos is going to be decommissioned, and so the captain essentially creates this sort of like, we're going, whoa, hey.
Whoa,
okay,
I didn't do
hi,
that.
Ooh, oh,
No,
hey.
no, that's all the buttons are being pressed.
Wow,
1 second.
okay. Oh, whoa, oh
Whoa,
my God.
no,
Wow,
no,
whoa, hey,
that's
whoa.
better.
The captain says, you ready?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. The captain says, let's challenge this AI ship to a race to see who does it better, essentially.
Yeah.
And when the Cerritos lingers a little bit on the planet to check for sentient life, that gives them the upper hand, even though they miss the next planet as it phases out. And so the idea is that the whole of the ship has to come together for this race where they have to go planet to planet to planet for these follow-up missions and get to see like what the AI can do versus what essentially, a crew can do. And I thought that was a unique way to bring everybody into this episode, A team and B team, essentially, because everybody kind of had a part to play. And when you're on the finale, it's nice to remember why we love the cat doctor or whatever,
Yeah, no, you're right.
It was really fun to see those characters again. And also I thought they did a good job of kind of folding Boimler into leadership again, because he kind of fumbles it a bit by he was mimicking some of
Which
the
was
people on
amazing.
board.
I loved it.
He did a great job. The actor did a great job.
Oh, Jack Quaid is great.
That was
Great
awesome.
impressions. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's in like doing impersonations of other people on the ship, and of course ends up offending somebody. And so in a way, in your mind, you're thinking, oh, this is the setup for him not being involved in leadership. But then by the end of the episode, he's kind of more folded in and being accepted even in the what is upper management of Starfleet called again?
The senior
That's
officers.
right, the senior officers. So it was nice. That was nice. And they did some clever stuff too, where even Hothead is now with Hot Boy. And last season it was like a big deal that she didn't want to be with him, and now he doesn't want to be with her. You do not know who I'm talking about?
No.
Hothead? Yeah, that's what I've been calling Mariner off and on.
Wait, what? Who's Hot Boy?
The
Boimler?
the officer guy. No!
Oh, Ransom.
Yeah. Ransom.
Right, okay.
Yeah, handsome Ransom.
I had no idea what I was trying, and you totally lost me there.
Well,
Yes,
I mean,
Mariner
Zink
Ransom.
got it.
Got it. Yeah. Amazing. Congrats. Yeah,
Anyway.
that was an interesting turn. Yeah, it was an interesting turn that she's now, I'm all in, let's go.
Yeah, so I thought that they kind of tried to fold everybody back in together.
Yeah.
And then you had like Tendi have her moment, and just I thought it was a good combination because the whole ship had to jump in to prove themselves. It was so fast paced, you really couldn't stop and think about how it was going. But
No, it's very true.
That's how they do it anyway. So
Yeah, I mean, I would take a 45-minute version of this show. I really would. The more I look at it, the more I'm like, what they're trying to do, I think they could do better with more time. I think there's a bit of trimming that needs to do. But I think we've had a couple of episodes which focus on the senior officers. So I think if you do that in the finale, and that's the only place you do it, that makes a lot of sense. But for me, it's popped up quite a bit. So that's why I'm feeling disconnected from my lower deckers.
I really think that you're right. If this show is meant to be about the lower decks people and just their adventures, because I remember when we first started watching this, and I thought the idea was that like in the background you would see the senior officers doing what they're doing, and we missed those entirely. I remember this moment when they were like outside floating up into space, and like you're passing the windows and you could see the officers like fighting in what's their line.
Yeah.
And this hasn't happened all the time. I think they're really bringing Freeman in more rather than it being, Mariner. And maybe it's because in season 1 and 2, we got a big dose of them, and I'm missing that reference because I didn't watch season 1 and 2. I just watched the first episode of season 1 and the last episode of season 2. So I'm missing everything in between there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm mildly confused by it. I would love to talk to like what the overall kind of theme behind the series was. Maybe I'm missing something, but it does feel like we've strayed a little bit. But having said that, there was loads and loads and loads to love about this episode. Get another Sovereign class come in, which was really, really cool. The USS Van Sitters, which is named after somebody, a fan that has done loads of work behind the scenes on like Star Trek encyclopedias and kind of collecting the canon and putting it into places. So
okay, can you imagine being shouted out in a Star Trek episode?
Goodness, to have a ship named after you is like
holy
incredible.
Shit.
It's so great. It's incredible. There was another one. There was the USS Culver City, which was one of the Cerritos ships.
Yes.
Now, the reason that's really, really fun is that, yes, it's named after somewhere in California, but I choose to believe that it's also named after John Culver, who is the code name for friend of the show, Fred Bronson.
Oh, that would be so cool.
I choose to believe. I choose to believe it's named after Fred Bronson.
I believe.
Yeah, because that's awesome.
That's fun.
But yeah, you know what? That was. It's the most sinful part of the show, and it's also the best part for me. All of the Cali class ships turning up. It is hilarious. Boimler just naming them. It was the joke that got funnier the longer it went on. He's just naming cities in California.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one, that moment. But then I have questions about how that works.
So many questions. One specific contradicting question about the Titan as well, which was hilarious. But no, I love that. Like, that is what this show does really, really well. It knows exactly how to give fans tingles. Like, it knows the things that are to put on screen that are going to make it tingly. Like, this is a classic way to end a Star Trek episode. The ship is outnumbered. it's absolutely going to get blown up until boom, 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 warp travel exists. So you have all of the ships turn up to save the day. And it was just so much fun to have every single California class ship on screen, all of the names, the models, the models that are going to come from that, I hope, is really, really, really cool. I love seeing all of the different crews. There was the crew that was an entire Bolian, entirely staffed of Bolians, which was referenced earlier in the season as well.
I remembered that, yeah.
Really, really, really cool. So yeah, I love that so much. What was your favorite part of the episode?
Man. I don't know. I think I had a lot of questions as I was watching this, I think.
Okay.
But
are they sin questions or canon questions?
I don't know. I think they're probably sin questions. I'll save them for the sin and you can tell me whether it's a sin or not. But I feel like the part that I smiled the most at is the battle scene at the end. It was so pretty to look at. It was the ejecting the warp core. There it is. It's that guy. Who is that guy? What's his name? The Shax.
Yeah.
When he finally gets to eject a warp core, maybe this has been a recurring joke for 2 seasons I'm missing out on. I'm not sure, but
oh yeah, his advice is, so when they're doing the list of we should do this, we should do this, we should do this, Shanks is very simply eject the warp core. That's what he says.
So I think that was really fun because even though I'm missing a lot of context, I could tell that it was really important to him.
Brought a tear to his eye. He's
whether whether it was just like, I mean, I don't know. There was a second where I was like, is this a dream? Because it was so over the top where everyone's lining up the halls of the ship to cheer him on as he marches towards the warp core to, like give approval and launch this thing. But I thought that was really fun. He was so happy. And I was so happy for him. Like the lift doors close. He's got tears in his eye. He's so genuinely excited.
Yeah.
So
well, it's a big deal. And it's like the Enterprise will always, that's the go-to thing. Well, I guess we can eject the warp core. And like what baffled me in Voyager is how many times ejecting the warp core was suggested. Because I'm like, guys, that's your way home. Like, you may as well just blow up the damn ship. There's no, like, you get rid of your engine, you're not getting back to Earth. But yeah, it's always the go-to thing. Eject the warp core and chuck a nuke at the problem, and I guess that'll fix it. Now, I love that. It is so pretty. That jump to warp battle is so, so, so great. Just pushing the engines as hard as they can, firing phasers, everything in the warp tunnel was so, 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 so fun.
It was really, really beautiful. I love all the space fights, and I know maybe you're kind of sick of them, but it was really funny.
Sick of them is really harsh, but I'm getting desensitized to them because it feels like it's every episode at the minute. So it's like I don't need to appreciate them because there's going to be one next week.
The shade.
But however, I did like the morbid person in me really like seeing the starbase getting blown up as well. Like, it's very rare you see a starbase under attack. And
that was cool.
But it was still very, very, very cool. Brutal way to kill Buenamigo as well. Just phaser through the wind. Like, I'm sure you see the ship's phaser just destroy that man and absolutely eviscerate him.
I didn't expect that. And that's something fun about the show. Like, I really genuinely did not expect that they were going to end the ambassador, what's his name? Not ambassador. Admiral's moment. But they reveal he was the bad guy, and then they kill him so fast.
I mean, it's one of my sins we'll get to. It happens so fast. It's reveal, exposition, bad guy plan, dead. I'm like, what's the point of the build up if you kill it immediately? Like, I didn't feel any emotional attachment to the bad guy. I didn't care that he got blown up.
But I was glad to know that my theory from last episode was that he was behind the Cerritos setup was accurate, because it was just too on the nose, like, as to why he was ready there.
Amido.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense to do anything else. But
yeah, very true.
But I think this episode was fun. I would recommend it. There's a lot of things that I have questions about, but I don't know that.
We'll get into it. So Admiral Picard gets a little name check as well. Of course,
I liked that part too. Yes, and then it was archaeologically sound.
Because I was talking to somebody, I can't remember, it was something on Twitter, but it was how like Picard the TV show kind of ignores his background in archaeology, and a lot of people thought like instead of him retiring to France, he may retire into archaeology and start doing some digs and stuff. But that hobby kind of got ignored a little bit. So to have it kind of mentioned here that he's now funding independent archaeological digs, and I really like that twist because we were expecting there to be some sketchy person behind the fundraising, and no, this independent thing was fine. And Mariner has to find it. It actually really helped me accept Mariner's return to Starfleet, because instead of something pushing her back into Starfleet, she was just like, hey, I guess I just want this. Like, instead of waiting for a cause to come back, I'm going to choose. I just hope we stop her choosing now. Like, she's chosen.
I don't know. It's
Stop
strange.
Choosing. Stop it.
To me, it seems like watching her. So when we see her in this episode for the first time, she is jumping around inside of this, like, cave system or something.
Oh, Indy Mariner Jones. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get Indy Mariner Jones. Yeah.
Super appropriate. And like she's dodging phasers and she's holding a golden idol, and then they get to the ship and they say something like that they're rescuing these artifacts from black market thieves. And of course, because they hadn't wrapped it up fully yet, we're like, yeah, sure you are. Something else is going on here. But she was having a really fun time, and she's going and doing these crazy things. And then I think when she finds out that the funding is like normal and that she's kind of a normie, but she's still doing incredible adventurous things.
Yeah.
So
it's all the stuff she likes, but it turns out that fun adventure-y stuff is kind of hollow when there isn't a big meaning behind it. And
but how is that not meaningful?
It's all what you find meaning is in. So for
for her,
collecting artifacts and preserving history isn't meaningful to her. She wants to save lives and do something bigger.
I did like that scene because the archaeologist who was into it is like, you're really insulting, because she was calling him like brown pots and stuff.
That's rude. That's even ruder.
Just rude. Well, that's even ruder.
I love that so much.
And I suppose there is something to say about the show deciding, like you said, to give her the choice, like, this isn't for me. I'm a bit bored. Rather than finding out about her friends being in trouble and that being the motivation because she thinks she can do better. It was more like she'd already made the decision. She didn't want to do it. And now she's finding out about her friends and she's like, I really need to go now. So,
well, you know the saying, you don't know what you've got till it's gone.
Don't know it really well. I don't know what you got till it's gone.
Gone. I see. Gorn?
The Gorn? No.
Did you get that? Was my joke. You don't know what you've got till it's gone. Because my goodness. Right. So during the montage for all of the crew montage of work together and whatnot, I absolutely love that Ransom was teaching the Riker maneuver. Like,
oh my God.
All
that
of the
was
words
so funny.
that I've used for it. Like, you have to dominate that chair. Like this. This is exactly what you do. You cannot just sit in a chair. You must dominate it. I love that so much.
Yeah, that was super good.
Amazing. I think the last thing that was given lip service but didn't get fully developed, and I think it might do next season, is the battle between personed and unpersoned missions. And for me, there was no argument. Like, Second Contact... Oh, no, I'm going into a negative. Anyway, I think
you can't do that. You're gonna get in trouble. You know, that's
segments are important.
I got in so much trouble last week.
I like that they're having that debate, and I love that competition of like showing which is more relevant, which is more useful in this situation. But it was too reductive. It was too obvious that the AI ships aren't equipped for this. Like, they are great at manufacturing, they are not great at diplomacy. And humans, great at diplomacy, not so great at building. So there were very obvious ways.
The diplomacy part. Some people are. You have to really work on it.
Yeah, I'm definitely not. But I just think it's a great idea that they didn't get to explore as much as they could have done. And this wasn't the best example of how to do it, I think.
If they're going to explore the use of AI, it's an example where they just have to beam some stuff down and doesn't require conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You know, like, that's where it is better.
The phasing in and out planet, had the AI not been there, they wouldn't have had supplies.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's where it's perfect for that. Just beaming stuff down and then disappearing.
So it might not be that there's no AI. But we clearly had a pretty evil guy at the helm of this one. Yeah. So let's... I'm
sorry, Father.
With some very emotional I don't understand any of that stuff. Was that like all things that we saw like maybe in previous seasons, or is this the first time we've seen the ship's personality when it becomes fully itself?
So, no, that was a reference to Rutherford's code going wrong. So the emotional issues and whatnot that he had buried in the code were being transferred into the ship. So as soon as it gets independence, it's very unreliable and a bit of a badass. So what we're kind of seeing is bad Rutherford taking over, and Google is going off. We're seeing bad Rutherford's personality kind of take over the ship, and that's why it's unreliable. I think that's the idea.
Rutherford says, the code is bad because he doesn't have like emotional maturity or something.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand the ship's immediate hatred for the Admiral. And I didn't understand why it had immediate hatred for Rutherford. I had to kind of gloss over on that. He was saying like, I will burn your heart in the fire. And I'm like, did we miss something happening with this code that I don't understand?
So there's this big thing that you're missing, Danae, called the third act conflict. And it's where something happens that instigates the finale.
We didn't have that this episode.
No, I mean, but that's what it is. That's the ship. The ship is the third act conflict. That's the conflict that is then driving the finale. So no, I don't think you missed anything. It's just we wanted this AI to be bad, and therefore we made it bad.
And so the ship's motivation is just
code.
like teenagers' angst kind of a thing?
Just destroy everything. Yeah. Like I said, not massively well explored. It's we want a bad AI. The bad Rutherford code created the bad AI. It doesn't go into much more, and it just wants to destroy everything. We don't really know why. Unless it just... The standard AI thing is that I'm going to destroy all humans because they're beneath me.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I guess we really should transition into the things we didn't like then.
The last thing I wanted to say is that we accidentally did predict the ending of the episode and how Mariner comes back, but we flipped it. So we said that Mariner would send out the distress call, but of course it's actually way more entertaining to have the Cerrito send out the distress call or be in trouble and the underdog come in to save the day. So I should have seen that coming, to be honest.
To be fair, I think we said both.
Yeah, we may have said either or.
I think we started off with she's going to have to come back and save the day, or better yet, they'll have to go save her or something. We definitely said them both, but yeah,
and again,
we nailed it.
Yeah, we did. Predicting things doesn't make it bad. It doesn't make it... Being able to predict the ending doesn't matter if you had a good time along the way. And I did. But I have issues. So let's head to engineering. For this instance is futile. Battle stations, everyone. This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sin brains, remind ourselves that no TV show is without sin. Even our beloved Star Trek. Danae. Give me some questions. You said you had some stuff that may or may not be sins, but you would like to talk about or have clarifying questions.
Okay, so isn't second contact mean contact?
Right? This is my biggest sin as well.
Okay.
The replacing the California ships with the unpersoned automated ships makes no sense for this mission. Like this brand of mission. Resupply missions, colony building, terraforming, battles and wars, great. The point is that these automated ships should be doing all of that stuff so that it frees up the living people to do the diplomatic stuff and to do the talking, so that we're not wasting our time building stuff, we're not wasting our time fighting, we are talking and exploring and doing science and whatnot. It seems so strange to me that the AI ships would be replacing the thing that we don't need them to be doing. Like, we make them so that we can do this. So I know the point is that Freeman then fights that side, but it's such an obvious argument to make. I don't know how anyone in Starfleet is agreeing with this.
Yeah, that was confusing to me. It was confusing to me that there is this group of people that are making huge decisions about basically shelving an entire class of ships in replacement of this AI that they've only seen one time.
Right.
And the whole thing is second contact,
Yeah.
So in the cases where they're going to be talking to somebody, how does a AI do that? And for that to not have even come up in the meeting, but to come up in my mind as a brand new viewer, I was like, oh, we're
It's
just
wild.
really expecting the audience to just not ask any questions right now.
We need to get to point B. How do we get there? And this is what I was really disappointed with, is the lack of thought that went into this argument, because there is an argument to be made here. Like the original series makes an absolutely awesome, incredible point with this. It's one of the best episodes, and Captain Kirk comes across this planet that is at war with another planet, but they don't know when they get there because no weapons are being fired. So instead of using weapons, they use simulated attacks against each other, agree what the casualties are going to be, and then all of the people walk into a pod and get incinerated. So instead of destroying cities and all of that stuff, the casualties are agreed between both sides, and then they kill their own people. And this war has been going on for like 100 years because it's so efficient. And the AI computer is deciding where these attacks would happen, how often they would happen, and how many people die. And the whole point the episode makes is when you AI that stuff, suddenly you lose the value, and there's no reason to stop the war because it's also clean and proper. That's a great argument to make, is if you're sending these automated ships into battle, when does the battle ever end? Because the cost of life doesn't exist. So you just keep fighting because you can. So that's an argument I would love to have seen them have here. Not, these are great for diplomatic missions, which they clearly aren't.
No, they're not.
It's crazy.
No. And if they are all AI, then, and we have seen other ships have like doctors that can change from being like holographic images into like a person, and it just takes more power. Why wouldn't they beam something down to take samples, to follow protocol? Now, it's because it's rushed and we want to have this AI bad guy at the end. But it seems like there's so much more at stake, you know? And maybe we're supposed to believe that Starfleet was really afraid of the Admiral because of his temper or his power or something like this. But, you know, I don't know.
The idea might be that the upper ups are so apathetic and busy with other things that they just listen to another admiral. Like the loudest voice is the one that wins. Because we do get this shot that was really interesting to me of when they're deciding to do the second contact race. The higher up admirals all just kind of look at each other, almost as if they're going to approve it, but then they stay silent and it just all happens. So it's almost like they didn't get a say in this. They just allowed their admiral to fight a captain because, yeah, I guess we don't really have much say in this. So let's just arbitrarily decide it through a race.
I feel like there's this subset of a show that some might find very interesting, like yourself, where these kinds of questions are discussed on screen.
Oh,
and that's just not this show.
I love it. West Wing. I want West Wing, but with Star Trek. And so many people have called for this show a political drama set on a star base or set in the Star Trek universe where you see like the politics of how decisions are made and whatnot. I love it. I would love that shit so much. Right. Anyway, what was your next big sin? Or did I just bounce off of yours?
That's okay. We can go on to mine. It was actually something that came up live, and so I'm going to go ahead and jump to that. What's the deal with the Cali class ships hanging out together and or being within rescue distance? This was one of my big sins that I was curious about, and it's kind of a question / a sin potential, which is at the very end, obviously this AI, this rogue ship is still hunting down our beloved crew. They've launched their warp core. They can't get away. They took out 2 ships with their warp core and did some pretty big damage to the third ship. But they have to be rescued. And so it's this big moment where all the ships show up out of outer space and they warp on in and they surround the bad guy and win. And it was a really cool looking scene. But I was like, well, how close did everybody have to be to arrive at the same time?
I mean, and my reference to the Titan earlier was when they're going through all of the options, it's can we call the Titan and get them to help? Because that's what they did at the end of season Season 1, I think they called the Titan swooped in and helped. And I said, no, the Titan isn't in range. It's off doing some deep space stuff. But every single California class ship, all of them is within range. All of them.
All of them.
All of
so,
them. They should be
like,
spread out on a ton of different missions. And they
You
are
know,
there
and-
within minutes.
And Mariner says, I called them in. And so it's like, okay, how did you do that as like
Why
a
couldn't Freeman have
non-Starfleet
done that?
person? Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So here's Freeman,
Yeah.
or rather, a Mariner who's
Yeah.
just out there, quit, doesn't have any credentials, doesn't have like a little boop, 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 boop thingy. Like there's just, it's just her.
It's just, and I think we're supposed to believe that Freeman could have done that, but chose not to because the California class ships don't stand a chance. But 30 of them versus anything is going to win. And also, is that the only class of ship that's nearby? Like, could we not have brought in any ships? Why are they
Exactly.
all in the same sector?
Exactly. Where's the distress
Suggesting
call?
that no other ships are. Yeah, wild.
Confusing.
Wild. Very confusing, but we wanted to get to a big finale. We wanted to get to B, so we fudged our way from A, is pretty much the idea behind that, I think. I had a really tiny nitpick, and it's an ongoing one about transporter beams. At the beginning, when Indy Mariner Jones is escaping the Ferengi fires the phaser at her, and it goes through the transporter beam and into the rock behind. It should reflect off of the transporter beam, because there is a confinement beam that is around the transporter beam that should bounce off the phaser and reflect away, which could have been really funny because it could have reflected back and hit him in the face or
That's
something
right.
like that.
That's
But
right.
I guess there's a point eventually where the containment field ends and then the phaser could go through, but we shouldn't see any graphic. It should be containment field transporting, containment field off.
Yeah.
But, hey,
Yeah. Here's another one. So in the AI delivering stuff category, this ship transports fully created power plants.
power plants or whatever.
Whatever. Is that just like on the ship somewhere?
I
Just-
mean, I don't
It
know.
has to have been created on the ship and then beamed over, right? Like
Yeah.
it's
I think it was ready to go and then they beamed it down. I mean,
but then how did they know that they would need one of those at the ready?
agreed. And why couldn't the Cerritos have done that as well?
Yeah.
Like, it's bigger.
if
Wouldn't it
we're-
have had more room?
If we're creating it by replicating it inside of a big sick bay or something,
Yeah.
then that means that any replicator could have done that. So
Well, they have industrial replicators that replicate all of these parts. I don't know if like the replicator is tied into the transporter, and that's something unique to the Alido, but we don't.
we
know
didn't hear that information.
get
We don't
told
understand
that.
why. Okay.
They're
Alright.
doing a ton of manual labor that the Cerritos could be doing for them. It's one of my biggest nitpicks is they're trying to prove the wrong thing. Like, they're proving that they can do the construction as fast as an AI. They can't. But what they can do is the diplomatic stuff and talking to people. And they transferred that into, well, you missed this soil sample that our people found. Again, that's the wrong thing to prove. The AI should have found that. If you'd have had an argument with the locals that you then resolved and the AI just bamfed out and left, that makes sense to me. I don't know. There's some thought that was missing from how we got from A to B. My next big sin was stop putting your damn feet on the damn console, Mariner. Like, she's in like the little shuttle pod and completes the mission, puts her feet up, and I'm like, I don't care if the console is locked. Put your feet somewhere else.
Rude.
Rude.
Yeah, that's kind of like the sin that I like to do when there's somebody that has an open container near like a computer.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Come
One
on.
tiny little spill and you've got a huge problem on
Big
your
problem.
hands.
Big problem.
So I thought that it was kind of sinful that Freeman, the captain, goes to talk to Les, I think, the admiral. She goes directly to him when she realizes that the Cerritos stopped and checked for a life form, which gives them the advantage. And she calls him up to essentially brood about this and say, I'm sorry, buddy. I'm going to have to bring this up. And it's like, I
Yeah,
don't know
what was
why
the
you're
point? Are you
calling this
gloating?
person. And then the ambassador or admiral guy, he starts to do the villain's plan. He just starts to
Oh,
exposit
man. Yeah.
and Rutherford comes in and says, I figured it out. My code is what's running your systems, and you're the guy that did this brain wiping thing. And then all of a sudden he just turns and he's like, yeah, I'm that guy, and I should have wiped all of your brain and everything, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, isn't all this recorded?
Oh,
You
my
know,
goodness. I need to
Isn't all this just documented at this point? You're having a conversation
Yes.
on Starfleet airwaves. It's not
Yeah.
like you can expect that no one's paying attention or that this log isn't being logged.
We didn't get told this was a secure channel or anything. My 2 lines are, aren't these calls recorded? And then bad guy exposits plan. Like, it's baffling to me. Like, he's even explaining how he's going to get away with it.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'll just say that you attacked the Alido and it fought back.
And I'm like,
What?
and what are you going to do when it's just like, and here's the log?
Yeah, that shows that didn't happen.
But it turns out that the show plans on immediately killing him, so that doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter at all. It is, I mean, this would have if we were sending this episode on TV Sins, it would have the biggest let's talk about the bad guy's plan, or let's
Yeah.
talk about the villain's plan, because I don't even understand what happened here. Like, did he steal Rutherford's code? Is that what he's trying to hide? That he stole the code? Or, like, I might be forgetting something. Did something go, so something exploded and that damaged Rutherford. Was that because of the code being bad? Is that why the thing exploded?
I don't know.
And then I think the Admiral wanted to cover that up because he still wanted to use the code, even though Rutherford had found out that there were bugs in it, I think.
Probably.
But man, this is a big swing. And the motivation is I want to get a bigger promotion and I want to be
I'm bored.
noticed. I'm bored.
He was bored.
I'm
He
fed
was
up
like,
of being an Admiral.
I've come up to the Admiral status. There's nothing more to do. So this is how I'm going to do something that makes sense for me to do the thing. So
Yeah, it's really, really tricky to me. And that's why, again, it's just hard for me to buy into him as a villain. I'm so sorry to poop on the show, but it is just like, we want this big reveal. We want this big swing. Whereas that's not the fun thing for me. The fun thing for me is having a villain that I can dislike and to see brought to justice. I don't really care about the big plot twist and whatnot. Big sigh, but it did lead to an awesome finale. Yeah, standard bad guy exposits plan for no reason other than to tell the audience about plan. I think my last big sin was, did Shax really have time to run all the way down to engineering?
he
And
sure did.
he can give the order, but Billups should be the one in charge of like ejecting the warp core. But I get it. It's where we drift into, this is a cartoon.
Yeah.
We're doing this for comedic effect. But it was,
Yeah.
I love seeing the emotional side of Shax.
Oh, that was
I
fun.
really, really do. He's great.
His feelings were hurt when he thought that Boimler was making fun of him, and then he's so emotional. You know, I guess while we're talking about him, I'll just sin that he chucked the phaser on the ground.
Stop throwing phasers. Stop it.
throwing phasers.
Enough.
Quit it.
Quit it.
Ding.
Ding. Anything else, Ambassador? I'm pretty much there.
There was this moment when Rutherford was checking, the very first time he was checking the code, at the very, very beginning of this episode. And he says, oh, this code looks familiar, or something like this, which is one of the first clues. But the music shifts. It's like this creepy. And I'm like,
Yeah.
come on, music. Let us have it. You don't have to give away the tells that there's something more going on.
We know.
Bwah,
We
bwah,
know.
bwah, bwah.
Right. Okay. Is everything off of your conscience?
No, I have one. I
let's do it.
think I have one more maybe. Because we already did the one about the California classes showing up. As funny as that was, that he mentioned all of them. That was so
It's
sinful.
brilliant. It's still great.
There's this moment whenever the captain says abandon ship, which is going to save lives. And Mariner appears out of nowhere and like announces over their intercom somehow, belay that order.
I know.
And I'm just
That's
like,
so great.
I mean, this is really cool dramatically. It looks cool. But practically, you don't just follow the orders of some person that pops
That's
in
a
out of
great
nowhere
catch.
that you haven't even seen on screen yet. The captain hasn't approved of them being on. Like, there's nothing to say belay that order. Belay that order will potentially kill everybody at that point.
It
and it's
shouldn't be
just-
allowed. Yeah.
It shouldn't. No, I have no idea how she was amplifying her voice for anyone to hear at that point anyway. But they all should have been poofed out of their ships, and then the California classes show up and accidentally bump into a whole bunch of people floating in space, I guess, which is another horrible ending, to be honest.
Absolutely, just getting picked off one by one. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a great catch. She's not even in Starfleet. She shouldn't be able to get into the comm system at all. That's amazing. She must have a back door or something.
Exactly.
Well, this week we are going to do a little prediction section. So with that, let's head over to the Captain's Ready Room.
Ooh.
It's a bit... Welcome to the Captain's Ready Room, where we hear our predictions for the next season of Lower Decks and bask briefly in Danae's Q-like glory for anything that she predicted. It's a little bit dusty in here. I haven't done anything in here for a little while, but this is a great place to talk about the post-credits scene. Danae, to your knowledge, explain it as best you can with no context of what's going on.
Oh, okay. So there's a post-credit scene, which I was really thankful to see because we talked about this on the Peanut Butter Munch episode.
Peanut Hamper, yeah.
God
damn it.
Where Rutherford's little face thing was floating out in space, and I mentioned it. And
great catch. Great catch.
Here it appears in the post-credit scene, and then it's beamed up, and then the little eye visual display like flashes, and you know that thing with Microsoft, little clip art guy, Clippy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's like Starfleet's evil Clippy appears on screen.
How did you know that?
Well, it's the Delta symbol with a weird cartoonish smiling face. Like how
Mickey Mouse hands as well?
I didn't see the hands. Does it have hands?
Oh, it has hands and legs. Yeah.
What is it? I have no idea what that is.
That is Badgie, the comm badge. And in season 1, I believe, they're creating a holodeck training program or something, and they need some help getting the parameters right. And they summon Badgie, the comm badge, and it is literally meant to be a take on the Microsoft clip art clip thing. 100%, totally. So it's the character that helps you out.
Okay, well,
I
that's
think we may have talked about this at some point briefly.
It's really weird because I feel like it's in the back of my head somewhere. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, "That's like a weird Microsoft thing," because it has like the big googly eyes.
I'm sure we've mentioned it in passing. But yeah, he or she or they. Anyway, they try to help and like they give suggestions and say, "Hey, have you tried this? Have you tried this?" And invariably, it goes evil and goes bad. So they then have to it tries to murder everybody.
You did tell me about this.
Yeah,
I do remember that. Yeah.
So eventually they beat it, but this is another AI that is on the run. Well, it's not on the run. They've deactivated it, but obviously
it's somehow loaded into that thing.
Exactly. Badgie the comm badge has somehow escaped. So we now have...
Okay, hold on.
Yes.
Badgie the comm badge put itself into his piece to live. So he lives in that piece.
Totally makes sense.
It's just been found by some other thing. They're going to pull it up, stick it on their face, and then it's going to be Clippy takeover.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Like that is probably how Badgie escaped. Probably downloaded itself into Rutherford and then just got abandoned. It's like, I didn't mean to be floating in space, but I appear to be.
Amazing.
Yeah, I love it. So that's where this is great for the prediction section because season 4 seems to be building towards an AI takeover where we have the Jeffrey Combs AI, we have Peanut Hamper, we have Badgie the comm badge.
Yeah.
We have this selection of AI that is going to, I think, team up and do some shit.
Well, I'm excited to see what that looks like.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
And I wonder if I should go back and watch, season 1 and 2 at some point in time.
I would love it. I think you really, really should. It's really, really fun. I think they're, like I said, even stronger than the episodes we saw in season 3. Even more laughs. It's really, really, really worth watching. I love it. But no, you got some great predictions done. Like you predicted that the Rutherford stuff would get resolved. As disappointed as we are that it got resolved so quickly. Predicted that Mariner was going to be back on the ship. I think Boimler was one of the predictions that didn't come true. Boimler getting promoted and the team getting promoted and moving on, but obviously that might be something that happens further on down the line. But your abilities of prediction always amaze me.
Well, it helps whenever you look at the context clues. It like sometimes, yes, I scare myself. But I always feel like there's a reason, like the music changes. There's ways that the show tells you what it thinks is important. And so in this case, if you're looking at the backdrop to the season, it's a big face of Rutherford. So if they're not bringing out Rutherford, because he's got like, if you look at like the poster version, it's like Rutherford's face with the AI thing and then the crew underneath him. So Rutherford is supposed to be the focus. So what's the big thing about Rutherford? So it's kind of easy to try to make some of those predictions. It would be insane if I made a prediction like that the cat doctor was going to have kittens. Like that's a crazy one. Those are the kinds of, things that if I did have a prediction about that and I said it and it came true, I would be afraid. I'd be very afraid. But I feel like that there's these tells that they have and I just pick
predicting
up on those.
The music in Picard season 2, the song.
I did that.
Yeah, you did. That
How
one
did
was
I
creepy.
do that?
Oh.
That scares me. That's
Me predicting insurrection or mentioning insurrection as your intro and then that being the
crazy.
episode. That blew me away.
Crazy.
Well, Danae, are you, Ambassador, are you ready for some show predictions? Because I have predictions for what's coming next for Captain's Pod now that we've finished Lower Decks Season 3.
Okay. I'm ready.
I'm cheating because I have forward knowledge. But coming up on Captain's Pod, we have got an interview on the way. We have got some themed Star Trek TNG episodes. We'll be doing a run of TNG episodes that all have a theme that you are all welcome to guess and see what they're going to be. And that will, we also have a live recording from Sin Week that will be dropping into the feed at some point. And all of that is between now and when Picard Season 3 launches, which I believe is in February. So we've got a few months here where we're going to be dipping into some older Star Trek and some special episodes to tide us over until Picard Season 3. As
this
always,
would be the perfect time to ask you guys to join us on Discord too, because if you do have like requests for specific episodes, or if you want to have the conversations with fans and you podcast listeners aren't yet on Discord, it's a great community. You can do that by going to discord.gg/cinemasins, but there's also ways to link on that through our website, cinemasins.com.
Yes. So any episodes that you're desperate for us to talk about or just want to see us give the Sinterprise treatment to, email them to captainspod@cinemasins.com or join the Discord. And do it on Twitter as well if it's still around next week when you're doing suggestions and it hasn't turned into the next AI thing that wipes us all out. Anything else, Ambassador?
No, I think that's all from me. Oh, am I supposed to do my ending?
Wait, no, I haven't done my ending yet. Anyway, I'm glad you've enjoyed Lower Decks. It has been an absolute joy to see you light up and just really get you into a show that has ticked your boxes.
Well, you too, because of course we're seeing like really cool ships and stuff. It's just an interesting shift away from. So we went from Strange New Worlds, which was fucking phenomenal, over to this medium, which is also phenomenal, but in a different way. It's the humor that's in this show is just so delightful. So I would definitely recommend this one for sure. Yeah,
100%. Total recommend, even if you haven't watched Star Trek before. It's great. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. I'm a podcaster, not a beep, 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 beep.
Oh, and get the fuck out of my sick bay.
Well, we moved into Anna. I love it. She's the quotiest cat to ever cat. Live long and Podspar. Hello, chat.
Yay! Woo! We did it! Woo!
We did a podcast. Woo! Slab, if you want to tell me that there is no 16-month, why are you doing the date the wrong way? Why are you telling me it's the 2nd of the 16th?
Oh, that's February 16th. Yeah.
No, but it's not though, is it?
But it is.
But
it
it's
is.
not.
No, that is. That's right.
It's not
that's how it's done in the United States. That's just how it is. So
it's not though.
You should just stop like.
It's not though. Is it?
Oh, I'm better. Just because I do this way. Blah blah blah. Makes more sense.
Right. Zinkstoke. Prodigy. I heard a few people mention Prodigy. I would love to go into Prodigy. The reason that we're not going to do that episode by episode is because it is so serialized. There's no real good way to do that with Danae without going all the way back to episode 1 and doing it like that. So we won't be insta-podding Prodigy. We may dip in. There's a couple of episodes I want to do, like the episode that we talked to Aaron about with all of the audio from the previous actors where they did it on the holodeck, the Kobayashi Maru, that episode. We might do that one, but we won't be doing it episode by episode, sadly, although it is great.
Right, I'm putting a poll up for everybody on Twitch right now so that you can decide what is correct, the right way to display the date. You're welcome to weigh in on that right now if you'd like to.
Right, let's get into some questions.
Let's go ahead and get into your questions or your comments that you had during the show. If you have any additional things that you want us to talk about Star Trek related, now's the time to pop them in the chat. We'll do this for just a little bit of time and then wrap up our live show today. We're going to be probably raiding into Moko Made today. So if you guys will stick around, and those of you who are watching on YouTube, if you want to hop over onto Twitch and you want to join the raid, that's super fine. They're doing their Monday catch up where they go through a lot of the fans and show artwork and fun clips from YouTube. So, or not YouTube, but Twitch. It's kind of a fun way to catch up with the Moko community on Mondays. So I'm gonna raid over there today.
So, first question, do people on the Sins team have a Letterboxd? Yes. Jonathan Watkins absolutely does. Aaron Dicer 100% does. Jeremy did at some point, but we were posting for him, like just taking his like little excerpts of ramblings and rantings that we hear about movies and putting them on Letterboxd as like an unofficial one. But the best people to follow are Jonathan Watkins and Aaron Dicer. I do have one, but I'm yet to use it.
Yeah, John, you can just search for both of their names, and you'll be able to see both of them.
Yeah. But yeah, it is fun. I do eventually want to get into Letterboxd for show.
This one's from Josh Zero. Quick question, not related to Star Trek, but tangential to Halloween. You know the game where you knock on a door or ring a bell? What do you call that game where you're from?
So, really strange. We call it Knock Knock Ginger, which is strange, and I don't know the origin of that. It's literally Knock Knock Ginger. You knock and then you run away. It's the worst game in the world. It's terrible. What do you call it?
I don't know.
It was like Knock Knock Run or Knock Down Ginger was another one as well.
No, I don't know that I called this a game.
No? Ding Dong Ditch is a great one. Yeah.
Ding Dong Ditch sounds right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's one I've heard before. The other ones I haven't heard, and I'm looking them up online just to kind of see what the list is, but no, I don't recognize any of those. I never did that either. I mean, I wasn't the greatest teenager. Let's be honest. I had problems.
but that was still beneath you?
I didn't ever brave up to knocking on someone's door. Let me tell you about that happening to me when I moved into this house.
Oh no.
I moved into this house, and from what I understand, the people who lived in this house before me, they had lived in it since it was built. And I think the fellow that it was like by the time that we got it, it was like an elderly couple. And I think that the gentleman had passed away. But from what I've been told, he was like a football coach and he had a big booming voice. So here's what I think happened. I think that some of his students probably just like to come over and fuck with the guy and ring the doorbell, right? Except for that this day, I opened the door. Now, Justin was downstairs. He wasn't readily available. My daughter is in the bath. I come over to the door, open the door. There's no one there. And I don't fuck around with people. Like, you come into my door in my space, I'm going to fuck you up. And so I'm like, hello? And I said, oh, fuck that. And I turn around. I step 2 steps in the door and I yell downstairs, Justin! And I should have said, Justin, get the bat, or Justin, get the gun. Like, we don't have a bat or a gun.
Get the warp core.
Just something. Get the phaser! But I didn't. But this person was scared enough. They were hiding in right on the outsides of my steps.
Oh, wait, there was actually a person there that was hiding?
Someone right by my door where the gravel is, right by the bushes. They were hiding over there. And when they heard me scream, they took off running. So I take off running after them. I'm not wearing shoes. I take off running after them. I get to the end of my drive and I realize I can't leave my daughter in the freaking bathtub.
No.
And I turn around and I'm looking for Justin's silhouette where I can say, you take care of Iris. I'm going to go get this fucker.
This guy up.
but he's not there. So I turn around. I was just like, "That's right, you bitch! You keep running." I was just like,
Oh,
I mean,
that's
like
amazing.
the most R-rated stuff coming out of my
that's
mouth,
the
and I
best.
turned my big voice on, like where
Yeah.
I was like gravelly, like the depths of
Yeah.
hell were coming out of
Nice.
my. I'm like, because I don't know who this is,
You
but he
achieved
is
your final form.
booking it down the street.
Yeah.
He gets to the end of the street and I scream, "Keep running!" Okay, what I don't know is that 2 other guys are hiding in another bush across the street.
Oh
So,
shit! Are
neighbors-
we talking teenagers or kids? Like,
I think
We don't-
they looked like they were grown adults,
wow.
but I think that they were kid grown adults. Like, they weren't
yeah, you're growing
little.
big over here. Yeah,
They're probably like seniors.
yeah. Your
you know what I mean?
16-year-olds
They're seniors.
look 35 sometimes. Yeah.
And it's also dark, but they're probably like senior level. So, anyways, the neighbors end up sharing a video camera because I'm like, I call the cops.
Yeah.
I don't fuck around. I call the cops. Cops show up. They're circling the neighborhood, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm new to the neighborhood. Just moved in a couple weeks ago. Hi, I'm Danae. I don't fuck around." Like, they're like, we just have some kids that are probably playing. I'm like, not funny.
Not funny. Not good.
But they're like, doing the thing. And so some of the neighbors find out that I called the cops, and they're like, and one of them sent footage of their doorbell camera.
Oh, nice.
And it was these kids, and you see me come out and you can hear me from their doorbell across the way.
Nice.
And these kids like waiting for me to shut the door, and then they just tear out of the
Yeah, they
bushes.
do.
And then they go meet up someplace else. And listen, I hope they're fine. But you never want to knock
I
on
hope they
someone's
fell
door.
down.
You don't know who is going to be there. You don't go knock on someone's
I-
front door like that. That's
And
just
I
what,
hate
that's all
to
I'm
say
saying.
it, especially not in the South or the Midwest.
No.
Like, no, you will easily get shot. Like, that is
So-
going to happen.
Let me tell you something else. This is like super, super fast. But the police officer that came to the door said that they had. So we're like just at pandemic where people
Yeah.
were bored, kids are bored. They're just looking out for something to do that's fun. I totally get it. And he said that they had just the weekend before. No. The night before in an adjacent neighborhood, another incident of someone ringing in the doorbell and leaving, except for this time, the owners unleashed their dogs to
Do
go
it.
after them.
Yeah,
So I
get
was
it.
like, don't ring people's doorbells. You do not know. what's
Don't do
coming
it.
up.
You don't know what's
Okay.
on the other side of it. That's more
Sorry,
dangerous
that
for
was-
you than anything
was
else.
a long story. I'm sorry, guys.
Man.
Got it all worked
no,
out.
I loved it. I loved it. Danae became Knife Fight Elmo in real life. That's amazing. Because there was a cuddly toy Elmo in that house. You absolutely could have been out there armed with an Elmo and
guess-
a knife.
I'm not going to be surprised if somebody decided to clip that.
That's
Sorry.
incredible. I love that so
Before
much.
we go on to the next question, the poll is that the right
Hmm.
way to display your date is the month, then the date, then the year. Thank you.
It's
Thank you,
just
chat.
not though.
Thank
Nobody
you, chat.
says
Thank
it
you,
that
chat.
way.
Hey, listen, if you would like to see this poll yourself for proof that it's here, you had 2 people agree with you though, Ian, so you're not alone.
Get out.
You
Right.
are not
Anyway,
alone.
let's get back to Star Trek.
I'm here with you.
Who was your favorite character this season? Danae, you first. I think we'll have the same answer.
Tendi.
Yeah, Tendi. Tendi
Yeah.
is the MVP. Tendi is everything I would actually be if I joined Starfleet. As much as I would love to think I might be a bit Mariner, but I'd probably be Boimler, I'm most likely Tendi. Like, she's incredible. I love her so much. I cannot. I hope
relate to
she's live
Tendi.
action.
Yeah.
I really hope that Tendi is in the live action stuff.
She's great. She
She's
was
great.
really, really great. I liked
She's
her
so much fun.
cheerfulness and her dedication and her excitement to excel and her trying to find something that she's excited about. And then all of a sudden she's also this like pirate badass was unexpected and cool.
She's had the most development. She's had the most to do. I just relate to her journey the most. Whoever's writing Tendi, spot on, absolutely brilliant.
Slab says, I lulled when they went ship coming out of warp. It's the Oakland. Was
I
expecting
love
to Titan
that so
again
much.
and glad they didn't.
Because they do that. Yeah, no, I'm glad of that as well. As much as I love that ship and Riker, it's great because it is the standard. You're almost expecting it's the Enterprise because
Right,
it's swoop into the
something
rescue,
huge,
but it's like
right.
it's the Oakland. It's like,
Oakland?
this is another ship that's like us. That's interesting. There was a great turn. So good.
Here's one from Knife Fight Elmo. Question for the end of the podcast. Do you think the end credit scene means they may be foreshadowing a switch to more serialized episodes?
Good question. I'm going to say no, because I think they're going to carry on to their detriment or benefit, straddling this line between episodic and serialized. I think prefer it when shows pick a lane and just sprinkle in the tiniest bits. I think we're veering too much into serialized, but they are 100% going for a theme here of AI is where things are going to go wrong, which is kind of the theme of Picard as well. I wonder how much of that is building towards, it's kind of contextualizing this environment of distrusting and mistrusting AI. So I don't think we're going to go full serialized. I think we'll still be episodic, but we're probably going to see, it would be interesting if this was a big bad for the season and it's AI and it's made up of a lot of different missions that are being orchestrated by the AI. Perhaps that's where we'll see it.
Here's one from JCD. Star Trek question of the day. Which stuck in the holodeck episode would you be the most scared to be stuck in? Now, Ian, you're going to have to help us and maybe give us a few options if you can think off the top of your head, because I'm not sure that I know all of them, but I do know one. So maybe I should just go with the one that I do know while you're thinking of yours.
Yeah.
There's the Wild West episode with Worf and his son, where the setting gets changed. But the scary thing about that one is that Data is also at the same time taking over a lot of the characters. Like he's starting to sink into the machine. And speaking of AI being a little bit scary, it's like there is this interesting thing that they get to play with where, you know, Data as a bad guy. It's one thing to be afraid of like characters inside the holodeck that can be like become substantial, right? But it's another thing entirely when it's like a super robot, right?
Yeah, of course.
So a super robot that's like taking over. That not only is like in the holodeck, but also like becoming part of the ship stuff too. That was a good episode because it was scary in the holodeck and out at the same time, and they were related. I thought the writing on that one was really, really great.
Oh, it's incredible. It's because you've got obviously Data that is getting downloaded with holoprograms into his brain. So you're like, vamoose, you little varmint. Like, well, don't you worry, Commander Reich. We'll have this fixed up before dinner.
It's like at certain points in that the characters that we're watching, like Worf and his son, and even Deanna Troi, they don't realize that they're in danger, which is putting us on edge, the viewer, because we know they're in danger. And I just remember times like this where I've looked back on things I've done and realized how close to death I was in retrospect. And it becomes scarier upon reflection. So I would definitely say something like that episode scared the crap out of me.
I am amazed that anybody survived that episode. Data should have just a holodeck filled with holographic data is terrifying. So for me, there's a few really great ones in TNG. There's one where the ship gains awareness and they get stuck in the holodeck trying to find out how the Enterprise became self-aware and how they're going to stop it, because the Enterprise is just going to blow itself up or kill out all of the life on the ship. That's pretty scary. But the one that I'm going to go with is, and this is an upcoming episode that we're going to be reviewing, so I'm not going to spoil
it's like a little hint. This is a little clue.
This is one where Data and Geordi are on the holodeck and they want to basically have some recreation time and solve some mysteries, but they create a mystery that even Data cannot solve. And it's just a fascinating question.
It's why the chicken crossed the road. Yeah.
That'll be it. Yeah.
That's it.
If you ask the computer to try and confuse Data, you're then coming up with something very dangerous, because it's a very vague question that leads to, how would I defeat Data? And then they have to deal with that. It's an excellent episode. I think it's actually the next one that we're going to be reviewing. It won't be the next in your feed, but it'll be the next one that me and you talk about today. So yeah, that's it's a terrifying episode because now you're up against something that is designed to beat Data, and I'm not good with that.
Amazing. I think that's it for today. We got through all of
I think that's everything. Yeah, thanks for joining, everyone. Appreciate you.
Here.
Sorry we were late. We will keep you posted when and if that happens again. The next few weeks, next week should be normal. The week after that is going to be
A little tricky.
wonky because
Yeah.
we are going to be traveling. So it's going to be figuring out when we record, how we produce a live show. So please bear with us. We love you all.
We may not
very,
be able
very
to do a
much.
live show. It just depends. Because there's a lot of reasons why doing a live show works from different locations.
Yeah,
But when we're
yeah.
traveling, it makes it difficult. But you will still have a podcast in your podcast feed.
Absolutely.
So if we don't see you here live, then we will see you on the podcast. And it's not like that forever. It's just for the month of November. Essentially, it's going to be really difficult for us to know our schedule. So
Yeah,
be watching
absolutely.
on Discord, be watching on Twitter. And if you would like to ask any more questions, like Ian said, you can always reach out to us on email. I'm
absolutely.
going to go ahead and start the raid for Moco Maid. You ready?
Let's do it. Yeah,
Okay.
let's go.
So we're going to go say hi to Moco Maid. It looks like
Raid.
they are dressed up for Halloween today. And at the very
Nice.
least, it's a fun community. And if you guys are new to Twitch, please enjoy them. They have a Discord as well, and they're very, very active. And a lot of CinemaSins fans are also over there. So we're going to go raid them today. But thanks, guys, so much for everything that you do for us here on Captain's Pod.
Yeah.
We will see you guys next week.
We love you loads. Bye.